Okay, last Wednesday on the live stream, we had a ridiculous amount of people requesting that we went through and talked about the contest that they are now offering on Underdog Fantasy. Y'all know on Underdog Fantasy, we show it off all the time. You can go through, and I'll show y'all right now. You can, I guess we have not set that up correctly, but nonetheless, you can go through and you can jump into a draft for just this week. If you're wanting to go through and jump in a draft for week 13, you can do that right here, but they're also offering something that's a little bit unique now. Of course, they also have the player props that we always talk about, but going back over to the drafts, they're now offering these drafts that you can get into just for the playoffs. And yes, the NFL playoffs. And now what's really interesting about this is there is so much game theory and there is so much draft strategy that goes into it. And I want to be the first person to admit, I by no means am an expert when it comes to this contest. So we can go through and we can talk about some in-depth strategy of my initial thoughts on how we should be attacking this. But it is very important that you let me know in the live chat, that you also let me know down there in the comment section what your thoughts are for this contest. We'll go through. We'll set everything up in 1 second. But of course, let me remind y'all, if you want to go and check out this contest, check out those player props, go get in a draft for just this week, you can do so over on Underdog Fantasy. And when you sign up for Underdog Fantasy and you use promo code FLOCK, they'll match your first deposit dollar for dollar up to $100. You can find the link in the live chat. You can find it in the description of this live stream. And yeah, if y'all are out here right now, y'all can come get in this same draft room with me. You can get my thoughts on your actual draft. And we're going to be doing more of these in the live streams that we have every single night. So of course, if you want to get in one of these, just make sure you subscribe to the channel. Make sure you go sign up for Underdog Fantasy. And of course, nothing supports this channel more. But let's switch this back over. Let's go hop in one of these drafts rooms, and hopefully I can change my display capture. And it's going to be a $10. This is one thing that I forgot to mention. And you know what? We are going to back out of this. We're going to leave this draft so I can talk about the strategy. Let's talk about the strategy before we dive into this. Let me show you all the details of the contest. So you're going to be in a small person draft. You're going to be in a 6-man draft here. It's a $10 buy-in. First place is $10,000. Now, of course, your odds of hitting that first place mark, extremely low. Got to be completely transparent with that. Of course, that's going to be the case. Now, with that reasoning, you have to understand that how this is going to be worked is there are going to be 4 rounds of this. So you're going to be in your league, and every time you get at the very top of your own individual league, so say if you get there for the wild card round, then you advance. Then you go to the next round, which is going to be the divisional round. If you are at the top of your league then you advance to the conference championships. And if you're in the top of your league then, that's when you get to the Super Bowl with the round of everyone left standing. And that's when you have the shot at the real money. Because of course, winning your league, you get these small prizes. You get 20, 50, 150. That's not that exciting. What's exciting is getting this 10,000 mark. So we're going to have to change our strategy when you go through and you enter this contest. You're going to need to be creating some stacks. You're going to need to create some stacks that are going to build your team a little bit differently than what the other field is doing. Because if you have the same team as everyone else, if you just go through and say draft Patrick Mahomes, then go and then take Tyreek Hill, take Travis Kelce, everybody's going to have a similar team to that. So how are you making your team any different than the rest of the field here? So now we have 2 spots left on this. Let me try to move this down. Okay, I believe we should be probably a little bit better for y'all to see us here. And now look at the ADP. You have Davante Adams 1, Travis Kelce 2, Tyreek Hill, Aaron Jones, Ezekiel Elliott, Cooper Kupp. Interesting to see that they have Cooper Kupp down here at the 6th spot in the ADP list behind both Tyreek Hill and Davante Adams. Because remember, this goes all the way to the Super Bowl. So one other thing that you are betting on is you are having to figure out what team is going to advance past the wild card. What team's going to advance past their conference championship? What team's actually making it to the Super Bowl? Because if you take, say, all of a sudden, Darrell Henderson for the Los Angeles Rams, and then it ends up the Rams don't even make it to the NFC Championship, you're done. You have no shot at making really any money whatsoever. So you have to be structuring your roster in a way that you're trying to get that team that's going to make it to the Super Bowl, trying to build in that stack that way at the same time. So you're never going to consider someone like James Robinson. You're not drafting James Robinson for the Jags because they're not making it to the playoffs. Now, what's going to be really interesting here is if you can go through and if you can identify a team that not many people are expecting to make it to the Super Bowl, and you're one of the very few people that went through and drafted that quarterback, that went through and drafted their running back, their wide receiver, then you are going to have a significant edge over the rest of the field. Because say not many people are expecting the New England Patriots to go through and make it to the Super Bowl. You take Mac Jones, you take Damien Harris, even if they aren't the best options on the board, well, you're still going to be in a position where not that many people in the overall contest have those players. So what you need to be doing with every draft that you're in right now is you need to go and ask yourself in your mind, what are we going to be telling ourselves with the story here? Who's making it to the Super Bowl? What teams are we going through and stacking? And you need to be building in that correlation. There's no reason ever for you to draft Davante Adams and then go take Matthew Stafford. If you take Davante Adams, you're betting that the Green Bay Packers are going to the Super Bowl, and you're going to have to go through and take Aaron Rodgers there. So please keep that in mind. You have to tell yourself this story. And of course, like I said, I am not trying to sit here and act like I've completely solved this game. If you have an opinion that you think I am wrong about, I would love to hear your opinion in the live chat. I would love to hear that opinion in the comment section. But this draft should be good to go in about 6 or 7 seconds. And like I said, if y'all enjoy this live stream, if y'all want to see more of this in the future, we can continue to do these in live streams every single night. And if you want to get in these, make sure you just go use promo code FLOCK on Underdog Fantasy. When you use promo code FLOCK on Underdog Fantasy, they'll match your deposit dollar for dollar up to $100. So they're available in damn near every single state. Not available in Nevada, Washington State, Wyoming, Hawaii. Y'all should have all heard it by now. If you have not used promo code FLOCK on Underdog Fantasy by now, I don't know what you're doing. Please fix your life. Now let's go and let's, at the 104, let's begin to tell ourselves that story. And now I'm going to admit it's going to be, I don't want to go, oh, poor me. I'm so unfortunate. It's going to be a little bit tougher for me, though, to be completely honest, in building this team, because there are going to be people trying to snipe us on the live stream. Like if we take Kelce here, it's going to be hard for us to get Patrick Mahomes coming back around. So you get Tyreek Hill going at the 103. So honestly, because Tyreek Hill went at the 103, I'm going to be a lot more inclined to take Travis Kelce with this pick. Now, say if instead it would have been Aaron Jones, and then we had to take between Travis Kelce and Tyreek Hill, I maybe would have passed on them. And the reason being is that if, say, Tyreek Hill doesn't go there, and instead it's Cooper Kupp, then JN would have most likely taken, say, Travis Kelce at the 105, and then we wouldn't have even had a chance to get that stack with Patrick Mahomes back at the 203. So we're going to go through, we're going to take Kelce at the 104. If Mahomes does not make it back to us with our next pick, then our quarterback's going to have to come from the NFC. We're not going to be then going through and taking, say, Ryan Tannehill, because you take Ryan Tannehill, what are the odds that, the Titans make it to the Super Bowl with the Chiefs getting there? There are none. So we're not going to be playing it that way. So JN does decide to take Kyler Murray at the 105. Going to be an interesting pick. I'd imagine he probably looks to go DeAndre Hopkins with his falling one. And now if we get Patrick Mahomes falling to us at the 203, we have to take Patrick Mahomes, because we would assume that Schwick, who's behind us, would go through and take Mahomes because he took Tyreek Hill. So Leonard Fournette goes to the 106. Looks like Cooper Kupp is falling just a little bit. Okay, so we have someone coming in and says, what is this draft? This is going to be a draft for the fantasy football. Not the fantasy football playoffs, the NFL playoffs. We actually discussed the rules of the draft and the overall tournament settings at the very beginning of this live stream. So, of course, you can zoom back there. It's all on Underdog Fantasy. Go use promo code FLOCK. Now we have Mike Evans going at the 201 by Joseph Baker, who says he's in the chat right now. We got JN, yes, deciding to take DeAndre Hopkins. So now it's a reach. Definitely it's a reach, but we're telling that story. We're just going to be building in that correlation. So we're going to be taking Patrick Mahomes with our next selection here to stack up with Travis Kelce at the 203. And of course, this is not a differentiated team by any means. Your first two picks aren't going to be that important in the grand scheme of things. So Aaron Jones falling a considerable amount. Aaron Jones has an ADP of 4.0, and right now we are at the 10th pick. Cooper Kupp, Ezekiel Elliott, and Aaron Jones all have selections that are a lot higher than this. You see J.B. Smoot, love what he's doing here. He takes both Tampa Bay Buccaneers players and both Leonard Fournette and Mike Evans to go through and make that one bet that you're going to see the Tampa Bay Buccaneers make it all the way to the Super Bowl. Now, CeeDee Lamb going off, and Schwick decided to take Tyreek Hill and CeeDee Lamb. Back-to-back picks. Godwin going at the 205. Wiseman went with Stephon Diggs at the second pick overall. So you have Buffalo and you have Tampa. So you have two different conferences there. Okay, so that makes a lot of sense. I really like to see what a lot of these teams in here are doing. I was honestly kind of hoping, not because I know a lot of y'all are in here, but I was hoping that if we got in some random people that they maybe would be making some draft mistakes. But it looks like so far everybody is playing it how you would expect. Now, this is by far and away the best start of this draft. Comeback season has so far decided to take Aaron Jones, Davante Adams, and Cooper Kupp. So now, yes, they are all part of the NFC. It doesn't really matter when you get in that correlation of both Aaron Jones and Davante Adams, and then at the same time, you're able to stack Davante Adams and Cooper Kupp. Not many people are going to have that at all. So I'd imagine your odds of getting to that Super Bowl round would actually be probably a little bit higher than a lot of those other teams. Now you have Ezekiel Elliott going at the 303. We've decided to go Mahomes and Travis Kelce so far in this draft. So you know what? Okay, am I going crazy here? We're going to end up taking Jonathan Taylor from the Indianapolis Colts. Actually, no, we can't do that. We're going to take Darrell Henderson, different conference. Obviously, you prefer Jonathan Taylor over Darrell Henderson in fantasy. The thing is, I definitely want there to be an AFC side of this and an NFC side of this. So we're also going to essentially be betting that the Los Angeles Rams are going to be making it to the Super Bowl with the Kansas City Chiefs, and that'll be that matchup. I didn't want to be taking Jonathan Taylor alongside what we would have with Patrick Mahomes and Kelce, and that would be almost damn near impossible for Taylor and the Kansas City Chiefs to both get to the Super Bowl at the same time. So JB Smoove, this is unbelievable. JB Smoove has the best start of this. I think he does have the best start of this because he has his NFC side of it. And I can actually move my screen here so y'all can see this. And ooh, we did that horribly. Let me just go grabbing that entire cam. Okay, so yeah, y'all can see those teams now. Okay, so now we're back up on the clock. So we're taking an NFC side of things. So you know what we're going to do from here? We're going to take Clyde Edwards-Helaire. I don't know why his ADP is so far down. We're going to take Clyde Edwards-Helaire 13 picks ahead of his ADP. But I want to make sure we're making that one bet on the Kansas City Chiefs offense, like we already discussed. And what's nice about the Chiefs is there's no shot that they're going to be looking at that bye. I mean, based on their struggles at the beginning part of the season, you know that they're going to be playing every single round here to start this game. So, I mean, to start this contest. So you do like that. Let me go back to JB Smoove and kind of talk about why I love this team overall. So if you look at it, he has Brady, Evans, and Leonard Fournette for that Tampa stack, and he gets Jonathan Taylor at a pretty good value. Jonathan Taylor playing in the separate conference, so there's a chance that he gets every single one of these players throughout the entire draft. So you just have to really think about this. Okay, so yes, of course you prefer Jonathan Taylor in a vacuum, say as a running back over someone like Joe Mixon, over someone like, let's go to the beginning of this list. You prefer Jonathan Taylor over Leonard Fournette, right? In a regular fantasy league. But this is for the playoffs, and you're trying to identify the teams that are also going to be making it to the Super Bowl. So because the Indianapolis Colts are going to be a little bit weaker here, it doesn't matter if Jonathan Taylor is the best player in the league around one. Sure, that will help you getting past that first round, but beyond that, it's not going to be doing much for you at all here. Okay, so now let's go through and let's see this one more time. Okay, yeah, so we're seeing other people go through and take another quarterback already. I'm surprised to see how many quarterbacks are already off the board. I honestly wouldn't want to be doing that. I think that we could just continue to go through and hammer in wide receiver from here on out. Now, the issue is, what team are we going to be betting on? So you have Amari Cooper. So you're looking at Antonio Brown, Deebo Samuel being left over. You know what? I think I'm actually just going to take Antonio Brown here. Yes, we're making a contradicting bet between the Los Angeles Rams and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. But if we were going to do anything else, we'd be severely reaching on the position. He is in the opposite conference of what we have with the Kansas City Chiefs. He should be fully back from that ankle injury / COVID situation by the time we get to the playoffs. So yeah, we're going to take Antonio Brown as our second wide receiver here. We're going to start off with Mahomes, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, Kelce for our Kansas City Chiefs stack. And then we're going to have the opposite side of the bracket being Darrell Henderson and Antonio Brown for us for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and the Los Angeles Rams. Now, Jamar Chase goes to JN. So JN has decided to go through. He has a couple interesting stacks. He has the Kyler Murray with DeAndre Hopkins, and then he's going through and also betting on Cincinnati with both Joe Mixon and Jamar Chase. So we have a little bit of a wide receiver run happening here. So like, say if you were going to go through and you were going to make some correlated bets, like if you want to bet that the Los Angeles Chargers would be a team getting to the Super Bowl, I mean, you could get some great values here. You could be going through and taking Austin Eckler, Justin Herbert, Keenan Allen, all extremely late. Now, the issue is we already made that bet on the Kansas City Chiefs, so we can't then flip around and go and make that bet on the Los Angeles Chargers, even if they are great value. I mean, obviously in a vacuum, you'd prefer to do that, but I don't think we can do that here. Now, I would want to go and look at the Los Angeles Rams side of things yet again. Obviously, you prefer Deebo Samuel in a vacuum, but since we've made that bet on Darrell Henderson, it's going to be a little bit harder to take Deebo over. You know what? We are going to take Deebo over Odell. There's a chance that Odell makes it back to us. There's absolutely no chance that Deebo Samuel does. I mean, I think that he should be through this injury by the time we get to the playoffs as well. So we're going to take Deebo Samuel as our third wide receiver / tight end. Now, I don't think we covered this at the very beginning, but to go through and look at this one more time. So you're going to be starting one quarterback, one running back, two wide receivers / tight ends, and a flex. So I'm going to be assuming that we're probably going through and having three wide receivers / tight ends through this every single week. And a big thing is this is a best ball. Remember, you are not submitting your starting lineup here. So you can go through and you can just take as many wide receivers as possible, and say you get that random spike week from someone like Christian Kirk. Well, then he will go through and slide into your starting lineup. So now A.J. Brown goes to the 604. Obviously with A.J. Brown, I mean, if you wanted to go through and make that bet on that Tennessee Titans offense, you could get a really cheap Ryan Tannehill. I mean, maybe, you know what would be really interesting in this league? Oh my gosh. You know what we're probably going to have to do if we get another one of these going? We're probably going to have to get a Derrick Henry, Ryan Tannehill, and A.J. Brown stack going. I think that could honestly be pretty interesting. And then someone asked us in the live chat, why Antonio Brown over A.J. Brown? It's because we're already so committed to the Kansas City Chiefs here. We're already betting the Chiefs are going to get to the Super Bowl in this one team in particular. As I already discussed, I think it could be an intriguing spot to go through and build another team that would have the bet on the Tennessee Titans, where on that roster, we take A.J. Brown, we take Derrick Henry, we take Ryan Tannehill, and maybe just bet that if Derrick Henry can make it back by the time we get to the NFL playoffs, then all of a sudden the Tennessee Titans go back to being one of the better offenses in the NFL. And if they can get to the Super Bowl, one thing that'd be really interesting is not many teams in this entire contest would have that. So you would be so far out ahead of the rest of the field, and you have to be looking for some unique, interesting positions. I think right here, we don't have that unique of a roster. I mean, everybody's going to have a Kansas City Chiefs stack. So I think we honestly probably did a pretty boring job with this team in particular. Now, what I do like about this is now we're going to be getting our guy with Odell Beckham Jr. coming in. Of course, you prefer Keenan Allen. You way prefer Keenan Allen over Odell Beckham Jr. in fantasy. I mean, a monkey can tell you that. Anybody can tell you that. But the issue is, like we said, we're building out this one roster in particular. We're having to build a one correlated bet because this is an entire tournament. So you essentially have to get everything right to turn that $10 entry fee into $10,000. I'm not going through and trying to turn that $10 into $20. If you want to play for just winning your first league, sure, that's fine. I care about that long-term, just high-end upside. So I'm not going to be going through and taking someone like Keenan Allen over Odell Beckham Jr. when with Keenan Allen, he plays for the AFC. He plays on that same side of the bracket as Kansas City. And we already have Mahomes, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, and Travis Kelce. So we are so deep on that one bet in particular that I think that we should be going through and we should be looking to avoid that. And we are going to be getting some additional Kansas City Chiefs players in here near the end. We're going to be getting guys like Demarcus Robinson as well. You have Dalvin Cook making it all the way to the 801. Of course, fantastic value with Dalvin. If somehow the Minnesota Vikings were able to make it to the Super Bowl, I mean, at the 801, of course, you'll have that big. It's just probably a long shot bet from there. So now we are back up on the clock. We're going to go right back to what we were doing, try to build in some correlation. So we have made bets on the 49ers offense. We have made bets on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, the Los Angeles Rams. So those are going to be the teams that we are looking at right now. So I think if anything, I know, of course, you prefer Adam Thielen, you prefer Mike Williams, you prefer these other wide receivers. But if we're going to continue to make that bet on the Los Angeles Rams here, I'm going to be going with Van Jefferson. I can't take Mecole Hardman with Mecole Hardman. This is a wide receiver that's now playing behind a ton of other options in Kansas City. He's playing behind a Marcus Robinson. I mean, he's playing behind Byron Pringle. So we're going to take Van Jefferson at the 803. So, I mean, here, I think that you could be seeing a very interesting build if you did have the Los Angeles Rams and the Kansas City Chiefs both making it to the Super Bowl, where we would have that stack with Mahomes, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, Travis Kelce for the Kansas City Chiefs. And with the Los Angeles Rams, we have Darrell Henderson, Odell Beckham Jr., and Van Jefferson. So if this were one of those teams that, I mean, had everything hit right, by the time we get to that Super Bowl round and we're facing everybody there, if we got that accurate prediction of the Chiefs versus the Rams, we'd have a real shot of hitting that $10,000. And of course, it's a low probability chance of both the Chiefs and the Los Angeles Rams of making it to the Super Bowl there. But we have to be going through making those correlated bets, or we're going to have no chance whatsoever. Okay, so now Tony Pollard goes at the 804. Okay, so let's try to figure out what we're doing from here, because now I don't even think we have to be going through and picking one side from the NFC, one side from the AFC, because we're already so pot committed to both the Los Angeles Rams and the Kansas City Chiefs that it doesn't really matter at this point which conference that we're picking. I mean, we're just trying to get some other random pops in there. And now I think that with both Darrell Henderson and Clyde Edwards-Helaire, I don't want to continue to bet on running backs, because you're only going to have to be starting, I believe, one running back every single week. Yeah, you only have to start one running back, and you can start up to 3 wide receivers / tight ends. So considering the fact this is best ball and you can see those random spike weeks, I actually may want to continue to bring in some more wide receiver and tight end depth here. Now Mac Jones goes to the 902. T. Higgins goes to the 903. What quarterbacks are left in? So really the only quarterback that I think has a chance of making some noise here would be Justin Herbert. Running backs, Gibson, Chubb. You know what? It could be a reasonable stance that the Cleveland Browns could make. We're going to take Chubb. We're going to take Chubb as our third running back. I don't love it, but I mean, now we're going to be done with the running back position permanently. And if we're looking at all the other running backs here, McCaffrey's never playing again. New Orleans can't make it past round 1. Pittsburgh can't make it past round 1. Washington can't make it past round 1. So, I mean, yes, you can make the argument that Edmonds and Zach Moss, I mean, these offenses can, but really the only running back that was left that had a chance of making it past round 1, and we're just looking for 2 rounds of production now because we already have the Chiefs going to the Super Bowl, would be Nick Chubb. So I'm going to be fine taking Nick Chubb there. We already have 5 wide receivers / tight ends with Kelsey, Antonio Brown, Deebo Samuel, Odell Beckham Jr., and Van Jefferson as well. Okay, so we're probably going to be going through, and with our last pick, I know some people would probably want us to go quarterback here. I don't know if we want to take a quarterback. Edmonds goes to the 1002. I think I like Gallup. No, with Gallup, we have 4 wide receivers from the NFC. I would rather prefer getting on one more. So like we already said, we're making that one bet on that. Okay, perfect. We're going to go get DeMarcus Robinson here. These wide receivers that, yes, are way further down the tier, like you would never take them over someone like Mike Williams or Michael Gallup in a regular fantasy league. Of course, you're not doing that. You have to think of the game theory side of this contest. So we're going and trying to make a different team than the rest of the field, and we're trying to build in that correlation and make that one correlated bet. So we're making the bet that the Kansas City Chiefs get to the Super Bowl. If we get to that last round, how many teams would have drafted DeMarcus Robinson? Because if the Chiefs don't make it to the Super Bowl, this team is garbage to begin with. If the Chiefs get bounced at the AFC, like this team's making no money. So the only way this team makes money is if it gets to the Super Bowl. And in that case, we need to be optimizing for that. And to get DeMarcus Robinson in here when he's going to be low owned, and we'll build in the correlation between that one matchup between the Kansas City Chiefs and the Los Angeles Rams possibly happening. I think that is a very solid pick. But please, please, please let me know in the comment section. As I said, I could be horribly wrong in this. Please go to the comment section. Let me know your opinion of this draft we just did. If you think I was wrong with some of the strategy that we were discussing here, of course, it will help a lot of other people because we've had a ton of people telling me how much fun they've been having with these drafts. I just wanted to go through and give you all a draft and show exactly how I'm thinking through it, because it's not similar to how you just go through and draft a regular fantasy team. You're drafting a team for the NFL playoffs. So, of course, go sign up for Underdog Fantasy. Use promo code FLOCK, and when you use promo code FLOCK, they'll match your first deposit dollar for dollar up to $100. You can find the link in the live chat. You can find it in the description of the video. It's available in pretty much every single state. They also have a ton of cool pick'em lines at the same time you can go and take advantage of. They just added all these pick'em lines with the Mike Glennon, Saquon Barkley. I mean, a led offense for the New York Giants. Of course, they got Tom Brady. They got the ton of pick'em lines, and you can see those added continuously as we get closer to kickoff. But thank y'all. Really hope you enjoyed the live stream. I'd love to know what y'all are thinking with this contest. I hope y'all have a great day, and I hope I see y'all on the live stream